So everybody wants to know, why are these people building these bunkers? What is going on? What are they hiding from us? Should we be afraid? Should we be terrified? Should we get together and try to build our own bunker? What should we actually do? First of all, take a nice deep breath and don't buy into the panic. Don't buy into the fear agenda. All right? My name is Adrian Nelson, and I want to support you through the shift that we're going through now. In order to get to why these people are building these bunkers, there are a couple of things that I need to discuss with you. One is the shift, which is happening right now, which is why, energy is so heavy, we're feeling so overwhelmed, you feel thinly spread, you might have difficulty focusing, difficulty sleeping, but then during the day it's hard to be functional. Your health might be doing funky things, you might either want to step out of a relationship or into a connection. Things are just shifting, changing, moving, shifting. There is a reason for that. We are in the middle of the shift. Now, in order to explain to you, why these people are building these bunkers, which, by the way, full disclosure, is not going to work. The ego is blinding them to something so blatantly obvious. But you know what? I don't think it's a bad idea to start with. I think the initiative behind it is actually quite smart. Unfortunately, it's not going to work. But there's a couple of things that I need to explain to you before we can get there to make it all make sense. So, one is the shift, which we are currently in. One is the event, which you may have heard about, the world in 3 days of darkness, the big reset, which is bound to happen really, really soon. Sorry, and then the split. And with the split, you get either the new world that everybody's, so excited about, or you get the new world order, which is the fear that is going on at the moment. And everybody's afraid AI is going to take us over and the dark forces are going to come around and we're not going to own anything. Both those possibilities are not just happening or not just possible, they are unfolding. All right? And what you do now determines how you experience all of that going forward. The biggest thing that you want to focus on at the moment is trauma release. And that is trauma in your own childhood. That is, all these traumas that people are speaking about: mother wound, father wound, witches wound, empath imprint, womb healing, all these things, all of this generational stuff. The power that you have at the moment is to heal that. And I'm going to give you some tips on how you can do that, how I can support you. But for now, let's just quickly start with these 3 things: the shift, the event, and the split. And I'm going to put down timestamps for all of these things if you just want to look at something specific. But it's like a puzzle. It all fits together. So my recommendation is going to be that you watch the whole thing. All right? And even if you watch it a second time around, you might actually gain a deeper insight. Because when we see the same experience, the same thing again, our mind has shifted. So we perceive it differently. It's quite amazing. All right. So welcome to the video. My name is Adrian Nelson. I am a life transformation guide. I am very excited about helping people live their best life. That is a big thing for me. And I'm going to be honest with you. I've been wanting to make these sort of videos for a while, but I was scared. I was scared. That's it. Because people that sort of spoke to the level that I am going to speak to you, they, very bad things happened to them. Very bad things happened to them. So I was scared. I was nervous. I had to do some soul searching within myself. All right. And together we can support each other through the shift that we are going through. And just before I get into anything, I just want to, full disclosure here, I don't want to come across as this person who's got my life together and who knows everything and I'm so enlightened. I am just a human being, same as you. So I am sharing with you what's happening, the struggles, what is working for me, what is working for my friends, what is working for my clients. I am just sharing. All right. And I'm very open to your opinion. I'm very, very open to that. All right. So you are more than welcome to let me know what you think. Share with us your experiences. What do you know about the shift? All right. As I said, I'm going to do some videos that goes a little deeper into this. So this is just a little bit of putting it all in context as to why these people are building these bunkers, because, oh my goodness, it is stripping people up. It is. All right, so I'm going to timestamp. So we're starting with the shift. So the shift is happening right now. If you have been following sort of like the Schumann's resonance levels, which shows you, let's say, how much currency there's running through the universe, to simplify it. All right. Remember, we live in a vast, broad, living universe. All right. And everything that is happening, the shift that is currently happening, it is not just happening on planet Earth. It is happening across our galaxy. All right. Across our galaxy. This is something huge. People are saying it's the first time there has ever been something like this. Not so sure I'm sure about that, but because in the universe things have a tendency to repeat themselves. But the shift is the preparation of our cells to hold a higher frequency of light. All right. You can think of it as 3D to 5D. Spiritual ascension, spiritual awakening, spiritual journey, all those type of things. All right. So with this shift, we have got more, sort of almost like the energy of life creation, which in our case is the sun, which sort of spewed and keeps everything, alive. All right. And also remember that for life, we need two things. We need sunlight and we need water. Those are the two things that we need. And we consist mostly of water. So when you have more of the sunlight energy coming in, then there's more light codes coming down into the water, sort of programming it, because water is a very programmable thing. All right. Whatever emotion, whatever energy you put towards water, that is the energy that it takes on. So it might feel like everything is against us in the universe at the moment. But if you look at the numerology, if you look at the astrology, if you look at the ancient teachings, and the beautiful thing is you can look anywhere. You can even look in the Bible. It is all speaking about this. This is something that has been in front of us all the time. We just weren't aware of it. And even though we are experiencing the more amplified sort of like energy of it right now, this is something that has been coming for a very, very long time. Okay. Now, in the next videos, I'm going to speak to you about, sort of like some Gnostic ideas, but not just really Gnostic ideas. Pretty much all ancient traditions spoke about us being inside of a loop, And so, like, for example, I know when I do quantum regression hypnosis sessions, people have this beautiful experience of going up to the light. And, there's usually a loved one there to meet them. And it's all smiles and happy reunion and beautiful. But when you step into that light, because this is a false light, when you step into the light, you are actually being recycled or reincarnated back into your earth experience. All right? Sorry. The thing that keeps us trapped in the wheel of reincarnation is karma. Because karma is a heavy thing. It's like an attachment. Hence, remember, people always say you're coming back because of your karma, to resolve things that you have done in previous lifetimes, other dimensions. So you want to go beyond the light. And when you go beyond the light, that is when you connect with the true energy of what the Kabbalion or the seven hermetic principles refer to as the all. All right. That is when you go into the pure light, where you don't have to give or do or be anything or anyone in actual fact in order to receive, in order to have bliss, in order to have eternal peace. Okay. So the shift is preparation for us to leave the wheel of karma, and we have been really romanticizing this whole karma thing, and past lives and whatever. But anytime when you are in a loop, you're basically in a prison. So you got free will, but you were in a capped reality. So you got free will to a certain capacity, and then you go back. Any living form that is trapped in a space for long enough eventually is going to want out, even if they are not consciously aware of the fact that they are in a trap loop. Subconsciously we know it, so we start to rebel against it. And that rebellion is an awakening inside of us that says, there is more to this, and I want to know what that more is. All right. Very powerful. Very, very powerful. Okay. So the shift with all this light coming in, light language encoding coming in to not necessarily give us information, but to awaken the information that has been dormant inside of us for a very long time. So the shift is the preparation, and it might sound counterintuitive, but and I just want to add with this before I even say it. If you obviously have a real medical condition or a mental health condition, a psychological condition, get the help of a qualified practitioner. Don't suffer alone. All right? Follow your heart, follow your guidance. Do what's right by your heart, your mind, your body, your soul, your all. Okay? But so we are in the space where we are just ready to step out of the loop. And we are being prepared for that. So if you are feeling the symptoms, the tiredness, the insomnia, the dizziness, the vertigo, the irritation, the hopelessness, the helplessness, the anger, the fear, when we feel it so acutely, it is because our system is being upgraded. And there's a part of us that says, with the upgrade, there's a part of us that says, this is not in alignment with this light. And this is very, very important to know. And this is why this whole bunker building thing is not going to work. All right? So we are becoming aware of what it is inside of us that is not in alignment with what we want and need. And I always compare it to an aquarium, like a fish tank, like a planted tank. When you fill up the water, it's always muddy and it doesn't look nice and clear, even though the adding of the water does a good thing. So you need to give the pump some time to clear the water, and then you'll see everything will be even more clear and more beautiful and more radiant. So we are currently in the space where the water is being added to the fish tank and the water's kind of murky. And instead of fighting stuff, you want to allow the filter to start clearing out. And this is where our spiritual work comes in. Our trauma release comes in. Our deeper inner work comes in. All right. Now, let's speak about the event. So the event, time is a very fluid sort of thing. So you can't say exactly when this is going to be. But again, if you go back to all ancient texts, basically, and as I said even before, even the Bible speaks about the 3 days of darkness. This is that event that is being spoken about. So with the event, not just planet Earth, but the entire universe is flushed with this wave of pure divine light, unfiltered light. All right. Now, this light is a very high frequency, and we are being prepared for it at the moment so that we can meet it in the middle and calibrate with it. Otherwise, this light will be too strong. We will just combust. All right. So, with the event, what is happening with the whole universe being flushed with this divine light, this pure divine light? This is when it's like a clearing of the universe, really. And if you think of our planet Earth as well, there has been a lot of funky things that have happened on this planet. Horrible things have been done to people. And time holds memory. Earth spaces hold memory. So the earth where people walk, where they were sad, where they were prosecuted, where they were hurt, they were afraid, they were killed, they were disrespected in the most horrific of ways, used for the benefit of others, abuse for the benefit of others. The earth holds that memory, space holds that memory. So the event comes and sort of highlights all of that. Now, what is going to happen in this space? The event, the 3 days of darkness, is leading up to the split that is directly afterwards. So this is sort of late 2025, mid 2026, sort of early 2027, but we're probably looking more at, mid 2026, very early 2027, most likely not 2028, most likely where we are now. A lot of these things are dependent on the current consciousness and that sort of thing. Because remember, there still has to be a balance, because after the event, there is a split. Okay? Now, the event comes in and it highlights all of the fear on the planet. This is humans, animals, plants, birds, fish, greed, all of it. So you will feel the emotions, the hurt, the pain, the fear, of everything that has ever happened on this planet, and then everything that has ever happened in this universe, because we're living in a vast body of life. So you will feel everything. Now, at this point, one of two things are going to happen, and that's going to be with the split. But let's just say with the event quickly. So your cells are going to speak at this time. So if your cells have been sufficiently prepared, they will be able to take on this light. And that, boop, ascends you. Or you will become so terrified by this pure divine light, it will horrify you so much that you will fall deep down into the darkness. Okay? So the one is the new world that we're all speaking about, beautiful utopia, all those beautiful things. That is if your cells are able to handle the energy, if you can hold that light, if you can hold that crystalline light. All right. The other one, if you can't hold it, that is when you fall into the space that everybody's so terrified of. You know, AI is taking over, we don't own anything, it's a horrific place to live, humans are slaves. So do you see that both of those possibilities are happening? And because we live in a universe with universal laws, the law of polarity, the duality is always still there. So it may seem like some of us are making it and some of us are not making it, but it's a balance. All right. So beware of that ego that says like, well, I'm the enlightened one and they are not. All right. Every soul has their own purpose. Okay. So that is the event. Now let's speak about the split. All right. So the split follows directly after the event. All right. Now remember, in the event, it was all about, can you hold the light? You know, and I want you to think of yourself as in these 3 days of darkness, you think of yourself as a seed. If you are a good quality seed, we put you on the earth, you're going to germinate, you're going to grow, you're going to stick your head out to the top of the earth. All right, as plants do. If you can be a good seed, but maybe you're not so in the best soil, you will have trouble and you are probably going to rot in the earth. All right. So, I mean, it's a bit of a crude example, but if you want to compare basically the two. All right. So, if you can hold the light, then you have the experience of the new earth. If you can't hold the light, then you have the experience of the new world order. All right. One is really great, one is not great at all. And the good news is that you have an opportunity right now, you have an opportunity to choose and to decide how the cookie crumbles for you, how the split is going to affect you. And you do that by releasing the trauma that's within you, so that when there's the influx of divine love, light, cosmic energy flowing through the universe or through the cosmos, basically divine energy of the all, that you can handle it. So you can be like a little like a corn pop. You can poop, there you are popcorn. Or poop, no, sorry, you just burnt corn. All right. Again, there is no judgment here. All right. What will eventually happen though, and this is where we get the two worlds, basically the splitting of the worlds that Dolores Cannon spoke quite a lot about, is that eventually what happens is, so for a while, you know, there will still be sort of like the two worlds, so to speak. But remember, this is vibration. All right. So it's almost like, what is your cells choosing? Heaven, new earth, or hell, new world order. All right. And we choose by our energy alignment of who we are. So if you've got too much trauma that you're holding on to, you won't be able to handle that light. It will be too scary to you. It will be terrifying to you. So you will scramble into the dark. And that is where you go into the new world order. But if you can hold the light, then it's a very welcoming thing that is happening for you. And you poop, you shoot into the light. You become popcorn. Okay. So for a while, we'll still sort of be on the planet as we know it now. But if you look at the planet at the moment, you know, the mindset has become such a nature that there's extreme guilt and gaslighting and, you know, dark manipulation. And on the other side, there is great spiritual awakening. There is understanding that we are one and part of all, you know, and already, if you look at it, already there's like a contradiction that is taking place. The two extremes, the light and the dark. All right. And if you think about it, sorry, as light sort of like, you know, changes, you get dusk, you get dawn, you get twilight, you get all of those sort of things. But eventually it has to be either night or dark. You know, we can't be living in this limbo forever. And so what happens directly after the event, just prior to the split, It's almost a sense of the energy becomes of such a nature that you just start to drift apart. Now, a lot of people have this very horrific idea that it's going to be so cruel and so horrible, which doesn't necessarily have to be the case, depending on which side of the line you eventually end up. As the Bible says, two people will stand milling on a land, I think it says, and one will be there and the other one will disappear. So what begins to happen is that that the mind can only perceive that which is acceptable to its reality. So as those who have been able to hold the light, as they start to vibrate higher and higher and higher, let's call it, for lack of a better word, the lower vibration is less and less able to perceive this higher light. It's like there are angels and past loved ones and fairies and, these dudes that I'm always talking about. They're all around us all the time. Your guides are around you all the time. But we can't always see them. As children, we can normally see them, but then you get gaslit and you're told it's, your imaginary friend and those sort of things. And because human beings are communal beings, we want to fit in. You will rather forfeit your truth to fit in, but after a while, the false truth is no longer conducive. And then we want to go to the better space, all right? So in effect, we might feel that this whole thing, the shift that we're currently in, it's happening to us. But it's happening for us for the simple reason all of us are collectively contributing towards it. Because if you think about it, everybody says that something's got to change. You know what I mean? So, what begins to happen with the split is that people will just sort of gradually start to phase out of your life. And you will see maybe in your own life that this may have happened, that you were really good friends with someone, you were close to someone, and you might like to still keep that connection, hold that friendship. And no matter how much you try, you just can't seem to get a hold of these people. You can't text them, you can't call them, you can't hang out with them. It's like we're in two different worlds. We just can't reach them anymore. So if you think about it, the split itself in preparation for the event, it's already happening. So the shift is already sort of facing you into a space where you can be in a collective mindset that is more conducive to whatever it is that you are most likely heading in. But the good news is that it is still not too late for you to do something about it. Now let's talk about these bunkers, because this is quite bonkers. So the idea with these bunkers are that, as this energy influx comes in, if you just imagine, as I said, it's not a bad plan. It's an egotistical plan, but it's not a bad plan. So as this energy comes in, there is the idea, well, if we can maybe either reflect it away or anything like that, then I'm not affected by it. But this is where we forget that Earth is like a tiny speck of dust in a really big universe. And this is a universal reset, not a Mother Gaia, not a planet Earth reset. All right? And everything on this planet consists of molecules. So whether you've got the strongest bunker, the best technology, the best mirror sort of reflecting a vibes, whatever the case may be, everything consists of the same thing, molecules. And the way that molecules express themselves in perceived sort of like reality, and I speak about this quite a bit in my online courses, there's links for them in the description, that you can check out. First couple of lessons are always free. But, whatever electromagnetic impulse runs through a molecule determines what and how that molecule shows up as. All right? You, me, those pictures, doors, plant, my dog sleeping down here, those walls, everything that seems so solid, this computer screen that I'm talking to you, whatever device you're watching me on, these are all molecules. It's all the same thing. There is no separation. There's never been. And whatever electromagnetic impulse runs through it determines what it shows up as. Now, there's all different sort of vibrations that we have, so different things show up differently. But with the divine light of the one that all that is, and we all exist within the one divine light, it is a complete reset. So it doesn't matter where you are or what it is that you do or how you're hiding away. It's not going to benefit you. All right? But good effort on your own trying. Now, what is it that you can do in your life? Because we've been so distracted by all these other things, but what is it that you can do so that when the event happens and the split follows afterwards, how do you make sure that you are in the new world, in the cool space, And since we're now in the shift, this is your grace period. This is where you decide. Okay, so the solution here, if you listen to everything that I've shared with you so far, and tell me what you think about it, and where in the world are you? And, when I say where in the world are you, I really want to know, because the more I know about you, the more I know about myself. That's why I love people, So the solution for you is to release your trauma. That is your solution right now. Because the more you release your trauma and your generational trauma, the more light you are. So when we begin to have all this global fear and terror that comes up, you can either, if you imagine yourself, you can either be a candle and the fear will blow out your light, or you can be like a lamp. So it doesn't matter how much the wind blows around you, you have got a shield of protection around you. So your flame may flicker a bit, but it doesn't go out. You are that light in the dark. You are holding light for yourself. And by doing so, you're holding light for all as well, because you are light in the dark. Okay? So what you want to do here is to work at releasing your traumas. Your traumas in your life, your childhood traumas, your past life traumas. We are copies of other people. We are copies of our parents, whether you know them or not. All right? And whatever they believe, their talents, their skills, their lacks, their limitations, you are born with all of that potential. All right? And it's interesting because a lot of the things that happened in childhood determines how we experience the rest of our life going forward. But majority of the things, if not all of the things that happen to us in childhood, is because of the beliefs that we are born with. So we want to heal our genetic timeline. You want to be in that space that the highest energy of your soul can flow through you, so that you can be protected and supported by the light, even when you're having a bad day. Nobody's asking you not to have a bad day. Okay. So, how can I help you? Or anybody else, So, you want to find a practice that is going to help you to not just feel peaceful, to not just feel calm, but to truly, truly, truly place you in a space where you can be present. And we can only truly be present when there is not a fear of the future. And a fear of the future derives from a almost like looking at the past, and then saying, oh my goodness, this is what's happening. That is how it's going to play out. That is fear. We get angry, for example, because we're not getting something that we want to get. That's why we get angry, if you think about it. So, as you may know, if you have been following my channel, and if it's your first time, you're welcome. And if you're coming back, welcome back. Thank you for your support. I do weekly YouTube readings, so please go ahead and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Let me know how you feel about this sort of material. Like the video, I'd really appreciate it. And so I like to do coaching, because for me, coaching is a way of empowering people. So, for example, and you can check it down below in the description, but when I, for example, present my quantum regression online course, quantum regression hypnosis, it is not just about learning a skill. It is also about healing the self within the self, so that at the end of the course, you don't just get a certificate, but you're a better person. You benefit from it, which I think is very important. So coaching for me, counseling, workshops, that sort of thing, online, in person, very, very important. Sometimes we just need a little bit of light, so I'll just send some Reiki. You can contact me about all these things, because I more want to share the information with you. It's not so much promotion. I do tarot readings. I'm really good at it. And here's the thing about tarot. It is about seeing what is happening in your energy. What has your soul got to say? Because, sometimes in life we think we've got like 5-6 different problems. But if you look at the core of it all, you will come to understand that these different problems, health, money, love, career, all of those things, it is the same idea. It is the same bottom belief. It is the same key concept within your being, within your psyche, that is expressing itself in different ways. Okay? Now, past life regression sessions are amazing for this, to gain some insight. And then what I really think is really incredible is the theta healing technique that is being created by Vina Stibel. And I've studied like many of these modalities. It's amazing. And it is really about seeing, where does this come from? Across all your belief levels, core, genetic, history, and soul. All of your lifetimes. Whatever you're having, this problem, where does it come from? How does it serve you? Because it does. That's why your mind holds on to it. What has your ego got to say? What has the creator got to say? What are you learning here? You need to understand what you are subconsciously in your cells holding on to and why. Because even if you just release it through whatever ceremony, it will come back because your mind gets something from it. An example of that would be, you can have, and I see this quite often in my practice, on paper, people's got a beautiful life. Married or relationship or, happily single, whatever, house, career, car. On paper, you're happy. You're good. Like you've made it. But inside, you're crumbling. Because we realize that outer achievements doesn't really make you happy. It can make life very comfortable. It can make it more inconvenient sometimes. For example, if you think that, people just want you for your money or your position, then it's very hard to trust people, because you are already coming from that precipice that maybe they want something from you. How do they use me? And because you believe that, you will get people coming into your life that will want to use you, And it's also very important how we speak to life, to the creative forces of life. Life is always listening to us. So if you are saying, well, teach me patience, you're going to get a truckload of things that is going to really, really challenge you to see how you react to patience. It's quite interesting. So what I recommend with these beautiful theta healing sessions that I do in person and online, they're 90 minutes a session, they really, really remove the shackles around you that you didn't even know you had. So that your free thinking can be actual free thinking, not just inherited ideas. When we are, from the time we're in the womb till about 7-year-olds, we are like sponges. So we are in this theta state most of the time. That is why we can see other beings. We know that we're more than this and all that sort of stuff. So that is why in the theta state, and for me, I've studied regression hypnosis, been practicing it for a couple of years. The alpha, what is that thing by Jose Silva? Where that works with alpha waves, which is really, really amazing. NLP, I've studied a bit of cognitive behavioral therapy, quantum physics. So it's wonderful because theta healing brings us all together. So it's a beautiful platform to come from. And, especially when you understand the human nervous system. How does things make you sick? What are the world beliefs? For example, diabetes is incurable. Yet people are being cured from diabetes. Doctors tell you to get your affairs in order because maybe you've got stage 4 cancer. I'm talking about living examples here, things that I personally know about. Not just read it somewhere in a book, where doctors say, you know what, you got to get your affairs in order. You've got about 6 months left on this planet. But then, so I shared with this person, well, there's a doctor's version of getting your affairs in order, and there's your version of getting affairs in order. I think like 4 or 5 years down the line, that person is still alive today. Completely cancer-free. It is all about your beliefs. So you don't want to, we have this idea that we want to attack the illness. But why is the illness there in the first place? What caused it? When you heal the root cause, all these subsequent sort of like, consequences, manifestations, so to speak, they cease to exist. All right. So I'm gonna wrap this up here. As I said, I'm gonna make individual videos for the shift, the event, the split, a little bit about 2026, okay? Because I want to empower you. And I want to give you the opportunity to share the new earth with me. That's my goal. All right. So thank you for your time. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I look forward to hearing from you, and I will see you next time. Bye.